Trump was pumping up Senator Rick Scott as his candidate to take out Mitch McConnell as leader of the Republicans in the Senate. That did not work out. McConnell was reelected yesterday. Let's go ahead and put this up on the screen. Comfortably reelected, despite what they describe here in ABC News as a historic challenge from Rick Scott, just because McConnell has really never even faced a challenge. The vote here ultimately was 37-10. And, you know, it's it's done secret ballot behind closed doors. They even tried, there was an effort to just delay the vote. And you had people like Josh Hawley, I think in particular, who was making the case of like, oh, it's not fair that Herschel Walker, you know, we were telling him to go win and he doesn't even have a voice or a vote in this room, et cetera, et cetera. But that died as well. So McConnell easily reelected as leader of the Republicans in the Senate, minority leader. Let's go ahead and put this next piece up on the screen. Here is what we know about who voted against McConnell. You've got Brown, you've got Cruz, you've got Graham, Hawley, and Johnson. Ron Johnson. Still don't know who the one present vote is. So, you know, this is, I guess, the most challenge that Mitch McConnell ever faced, but ultimately doesn't even come close to success.
Yeah, and from what I heard, the reason is that people knew it was a doomed campaign and they voted for Rick Scott because they didn't even like Rick Scott, but they wanted Mitch McConnell to feel the heat. I mean, did he really feel any heat? Yes, it is the first challenge. At the other hand, you won it overwhelmingly.
Yeah.
So I'm not even sure what you particularly accomplished in voting for Rick Scott other than being on McConnell's shit list, which, I mean, look, he's an 80-year-old man. He's not going to reign forever as head of the GOP, but he will be the minority leader for the foreseeable future. So I'm not so sure I would want to, you know, engender.
He's a big fundraiser. I mean,
massive fundraiser. He's a juggernaut. Yeah, he has all the power. I think the reason why that we did this was to show people, look, Trump's power, yeah, it exists. But in the Senate, they're bucking him as they did the entire time that he was in office. And the next one is what I'm really interested in, which was Trump's major pick was for Rick Scott, and he endorsed him against McConnell. Well, Scott famously is the person who lost the Senate and blew tens of millions of dollars in the NRSC. Now he's coming under a bit of scrutiny. Let's throw this up there. Senators are considering floating an audit of the NRSC. This was by Marsha Blackburn and by Tom Tillis, said there should be an independent review of how the party's campaign arm spent its resources before falling short of its goal of winning the majority. And Scott responded in a statement saying that actually when he took the committee over 2 years ago, he had learned that previous staffers had been paid hundreds of thousands of dollars in unauthorized and improper bonuses. Lots of people who are slinging responses. The previous director was actually Representative Todd Young. Now his representative responded to Scott saying that is what children do when they are caught with their hands in the cookie jar. They lash out. This is crazy. We welcome a full audit of our finances. But does Rick Scott welcome one of his? We know that he drained the coffers of the NRSC of the tune of, what, $100 million? What did he spend it on? Why was he hanging out on a super yacht in Italy in the middle of August whenever you had candidates that were getting smacked in major polls?
And I think, didn't he also spend on some races that were just like absurd long shot? Washington, Oregon, Colorado, places that ended up being not even remotely close. While, you know, Blake Masters was out begging for cash, you know, Laxalt, all of them were sort of having to go to McConnell and beg for funds there. And of course, Trump didn't really pony up much of anything for anyone, despite the fact that his coffers were pretty full. There's some fun, like, internecine little backbiting that's detailed in this article. You also have this Scott advisor, Kurt Anderson, who went on Twitter to criticize the Senate Leadership Fund, that's McConnell's group, for not doing enough for the Georgia Senate runoff election. He wrote on Twitter, "Have they given up?" And then you have the McConnell chief of staff chirping back that the NRSC was barely making a mark in the race. That's, of course, Scott's group. But he says, quote, "Don't worry, little buddy, we're used to covering for you." So total warfare between the McConnell camps and the Rick Scott camps. It's also, the other thing that I always want to underscore here is that none of this is like, there's no ideology you could attach to this. Like Rick Scott, if there ever was this sort of like different Trumpist approach to economics, Rick Scott is on the polar opposite side of that. It's just that he was like willing to be loyal to Trump, willing to be the sacrificial lamb here, even though he knew he had no shot of ultimately unseating Mitch McConnell. And like, why would anyone vote for this dude? Even if you don't care about ideology, you just want to win. Why would anyone vote for this dude when he just was at the helm of a total catastrophe, like wipeout level catastrophe for the Senate GOP?
Right. Yeah. No, I think look, Rick Scott is a moron. I think basically everybody knows that.
And a fraudster, let's not forget that.
Yeah, no, beyond that. And his conduct, like what we know about his electoral capacity is not good so far. So I don't know why exactly you would vote for him. As I said, it's considered like a quixotic campaign, right now as to why exactly all these people even voted for him in the first place. I don't see any particular point to it.
I think
if you're going to unseat McConnell, then do it.
The only reason to do it is prove your loyalty to Trump.
Yeah.
That's it. You're more concerned about the Trump audience than you are like the money from Mitch McConnell. If you look at the list of names of people who voted for Rick Scott, these are all people who basically are safe in terms of their seats, so they don't necessarily need the McConnell cash. So they feel like it's important to stay where their bread is buttered with Donald Trump.
Right.
That's how I read it. Hey guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully upon us now, and Saagar and I have been brainstorming ways that we can really up our game for this critical election.
Yeah, we rely on our premium subs to expand our coverage, to add staff, to upgrade the studio. We just want to give you the best independent coverage of this election, which is possible. So if you can help us out, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com, or the link is down here in the description video. It really means the world to us, and if you like what we're all about, this is the best possible way to keep us 100% independent, working only for you.